Hello, I'm Mohsen Jamal and you watch Afghan News. The Obama administration should rethink its commitment of dollars and American lives to the fight in Afghanistan, according to U.S. lawmakers, furious with Afghan President Hamid Karzai's recent statement that his country would back Pakistan if it went to war with the United States. That anger over Karzai's remarks is likely to surface when Secretary of State Hillary Clinton testifies Thursday before the U.S. House Foreign Affairs Committee. Lawmakers also are expected to praise Clinton on the administration's recent decision to temporarily pull its ambassador out of Syria, the withdrawal of U.S. combat troops from Iraq by year's end, and the Palestinians' push for statehood at the United Nations over objections from the U.S. and Israel. The United States has about 98,000 troops in Afghanistan and plans to bring most of forces home by 2015. It intends to withdraw the 33,000 additional troops that President Barack Obama sent to Afghanistan in 2009 by the end of the fighting season in 2012, 10,000 of them by the end of this year, while about 3,000 of those have already left. Attackers struck a U.S.-run civilian military base in the southern Afghan city of Kandahar Thursday, where explosions and gunfire could be heard, police and witnesses said. Kandahar city's police spokesman Karzai said that the attack targeted Kandahar provincial reconstruction team from different directions, adding that 5 explosions had been heard at the base. The Taliban claimed responsibility for the attack and said the gunmen were armed with suicide vests. The Taliban militia, which is leading a 10-year insurgency against U.S.-led NATO troops, has increasingly carried out coordinated attacks on high-profile Western government targets. President Hamid Karzai has invited retired General Stanley McChrystal, who led NATO troops here in 2009 and 2010, to Afghanistan, and General McChrystal plans to make the visit in the next few weeks. Amal Faizi, the spokesman for President Karzai, said the general has not been in Afghanistan since he resigned his command in June 2010 after an embarrassing article in Rolling Stone magazine quoted members of his staff saying disparaging things about the Obama administration. General McChrystal has remained in touch with senior Afghan officials, in particular Mr. Karzai, with whom he had built a strong relationship. So the general's visit coming while the United States is negotiating a strategic agreement that will chart the Afghan-American relationship after United States combat troops withdraw in 2014 will almost certainly be freighted with meaning by Afghan observers. Whether policy is discussed or not, American officials said General McChrystal's visit could benefit him, Mr. Karzai, in the Obama administration. 4 armed insurgents have been killed, 1 wounded, and 33 arrested by Afghan and coalition forces, the Interior Ministry says. In a statement, the ministry says that Afghan police, in collaboration with the Afghan army and coalition forces, conducted several operations in Kabul, Nangarhar, Kunduz, Balkh, Kandahar, Nimruz, Maidan Wardak, and host provinces over the past 24 hours. Meanwhile, ISAF said in a statement that a service member from the NATO-led International Security Assistance Force was killed in an insurgent attack in eastern Afghanistan on Wednesday, but it gave no other details. ISAF also said that Afghan and ISAF troops killed 1 insurgent and detained several suspected insurgents during an operation in search of a Taliban leader in the Zurmat district of southeastern Paktia province on Wednesday. Pakistan's former leader Pervez Musharraf warned Wednesday that his country's spies will need to take countermeasures in Afghanistan if United States troops leave it unstable or it becomes too close to India. On a visit to Washington, Musharraf described relations between the United States and Pakistan as terrible, but defended the Inter-Services Intelligence Agency that American officials have accused of supporting extremists. Musharraf, who has lived in exile since stepping down in 2008 but hopes to launch a political comeback next year, insisted that his country's historic rival India was working to run Afghanistan against Pakistan. At the Karzai Endowment for International Peace, Musharraf said Afghanistan could plunge into conflict along ethnic lines after 2014, when the United States plans to withdraw its combat troops from Afghanistan, ending more than a decade of war. Musharraf said Karzai's remark that Afghans would side with Pakistan in the event of war with the United States marked the first time Karzai has made a pro-Pakistan statement, but called his comments preposterous. A suspected U.S. drone attack has killed the brother and a close relative of Maulawi Nazir, a Pakistani Taliban commander in South Waziristan, a tribal district along the border with Afghanistan. Pakistani officials say at least 5 armed men were killed and 2 others wounded on Thursday when 4 missiles struck a pick-up lorry traveling through Azam Warsak, 20 kilometers west of Wana, the main town of South Waziristan, which is known to house Pakistani Taliban fighters. Officials said the attack targeted members of the family of Nazir, who leads fighters and battles against U.S. troops across the border in Afghanistan. Residents and security officials in the region described the 27-year-old as the operational head for the Nazir group and a close aide of his brother. The suspected drone attack is the first since nearly 2 weeks when another 4 fighters were killed in the mountains west of Wana. U.S. Defense Secretary Leon Panetta met South Korean President Lee Myung-bak in Seoul on Thursday. Lee welcomed and thanked Panetta for his hospitality when he visited the Pentagon earlier this month. Before meeting the president, Panetta met with South Korean Defense Minister Kim Kwon-jin and Foreign Minister Kim Song-hwan separately and reaffirmed the United States' stance to defend South Korea and to promote peace and prosperity throughout the region. He plans to hold the annual Security Consultative meeting with his South Korean counterpart on Friday. The United States stations around 28,000 troops on the Korean Peninsula. Panetta has been reassuring allies in the region that the United States military will maintain a strong posture in the Pacific despite looming defense spending cuts at home. Hundreds of Yemeni women have set fire to traditional female veils in protest against the government's brutal crackdown on the country's popular uprising as overnight clashes in the capital and another city killed 25 people, officials said. Women spread a black cloth across a main street in the capital Sana'a on Wednesday and threw their full-body veils onto a pile, sprayed it with oil and set it ablaze. Yemeni women have taken a key role in the uprising against Saleh's rule since March, inspired by revolutions in Tunisia, Egypt and Libya. The protests came as clashes have intensified between Saleh's forces and army deserters backing the protesters in the opposition and demands that the president in power since 1978 step down. Citing medical and local officials, reports say that up to 25 civilians, tribal fighters and government soldiers died overnight in Sana'a in the city of Taiz despite a ceasefire announcement by Saleh late on Tuesday. An Arab League delegation has held talks with Bashar al-Assad, the Syrian president, amid reports of more daily clashes between security forces and army deserters, backing protesters demanding the president's resignation. The delegation led by Qatar's prime minister arrived in Syria on Wednesday as tens of thousands of pro-government supporters packed into Umayyad Square in the heart of Damascus. Delegates included the foreign ministers of Algeria, Egypt, Oman and Sudan, in addition to Nabil al-Arabi, the head of the Arab League. Hamad bin Jassim bin Jabr al-Thani, the delegation leader, said the meeting was frank and friendly, adding that the delegation felt the Syrian government was eager to work with the Arab Committee in order to reach a solution. The meeting came as the London-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said that 15 more people, including 9 government soldiers, had been killed on Wednesday in the latest clashes between Assad loyalists and forces backing anti-government protests. And Turkey has appealed for international aid as it battles to help thousands left homeless in the east of the country by Sunday's earthquake. As Recep Tayyip Erdogan, the prime minister, admitted that the government's response to the crisis had been inadequate. Erdogan said on Wednesday that the death toll in Van province had climbed to 471 and the number injured to 1,650. As hopes faded for those still missing and attention turned to relief efforts, Erdogan acknowledged that the government had been slow to respond after the earthquake struck. Turkey's government has now approached 30 countries that have offered help and formally requested temporary housing and emergency materials for the nation's thousands of homeless. Sunday's 7.2 magnitude quake was Turkey's most powerful since a pair of earthquakes in 1999 in northwestern Turkey, which killed more than 20,000 people. That's all for now. Thanks for staying with us.